But you can see here, 1.7 million, 2,000 retweets, and that is, like, that's crazy engagement. 60,000 impressions in 20 minutes.
Remember when people predicted that Caitlyn Clark would lose followers following that interview? Well, she just silenced all of her skeptics with one workout. The Indiana Fever recently released footage of Caitlyn Clark training with Stephanie White, and it's already generating a lot of buzz and millions of impressions. Let's roll the music footage, which shows that Caitlyn Clark's movements are more precise and more. Let's break down what makes this workout so special. Most players use the offseason to stay in shape or work on their signature moves, but Clark is focusing on her weaknesses and attacking them head on. You might be wondering what weaknesses she is already dominating, but that's because she is preparing for a transformation. Her skill is like magic, full of endless tricks up her sleeve. Her first session with Stephanie White is already drawing attention, and it's easy to see why. It's clear that she's still getting shots up and down, but it's like work on your weaknesses, work on your weaknesses. And work on the important weaknesses like her finishing and her ability to kind of shoot that floater, that mid-range, the in-between game, not shoot long twos, but everything about the in-between game was the biggest downside for her. That's exactly what makes great players different. Caitlyn Clark is practicing finishing with her non-dominant foot. It may not seem like much, but trust me, this little change is significant because when she's driving against those towering defenders, she'll have a secret weapon to catch them off guard. By the way, this is not an easy shot. It's an off-foot layup floater from outside the key. Shot to shoot, she's working on a lot of off-foot skills such as jump stop, jump stop, jump stop, and finishing, which I really like. It's something that's severely lacking in youth basketball instruction, especially when it comes to making off-footed layups, which are what almost all coaches teach you. This isn't a skill you see many American basketball players use, but rather the kind of versatility that makes players like Nikola Jokic stand out thinking ahead, remaining unpredictable, and staying. Not only do you have to worry about her getting inside and getting to the paint, but you also have to worry about her killing you from three. Now she's going to kill you from the mid-range as well. But that's not all. Clark is known for her deadly left hand, but she's pushing herself to be just as deadly with her right. Can you imagine how tough she'll be to guard? She has a little bit more of that when she can score with both hands equally well. For example, I like that Caitlyn Clark shot, a shot stepping to her right, and I like that again. She also did a pull-up midi and a shot stepping to her right, and I actually like that because she doesn't bring the ball over this side when she's shooting to her right because, as we all know, with the deep threes, you usually have to bring the ball from somewhere. She brings it over this side of her head to sort of get a little bit more arm power, and she'll use a jump shot to accomplish that, but I like how she doesn't appear as at ease shooting to her right as she did the previous season. And let's not forget about those floaters, those delicate, high-arching shots that seem to float over defenders' outstretched arms, which Clark is getting better at. It's a wise move because floaters are a guard's best friend when the paint is packed with defenders. All right, nice floater. And to be fair, you could tell she practiced her floaters before the Olympics. Break like the number of floaters she was shooting, but this is where it gets really interesting. Clark isn't just practicing her mid-range shot, she's driving in the ball, which seems to be an extension of her hand. Each drill is intense and intentional, and you can see the focus on her face as she repeats the movements, developing muscle memory. This isn't about looking good for the cameras, rather. It's about getting ready for battle on the court. She's driving in more, she ain't selling it for three, and she's finally mastered her mid-range shot. Here's another mid-range shot, and the person directing this basketball symphony is none other than Stephanie White. You may be wondering why everyone is talking about White's presence, but let me tell you that this isn't your typical coach-player relationship. Obviously, when your head coach is in charge of the individual player work, ATS, I like that because, well, Stephanie White was a pretty damn good player, but I think there's a big thing with her. White brings a wealth of experience and respect to the table. She has played at the highest levels and coached at Clark's shoes. However, what makes her stand out is her hands-on approach. In the video, you can see White on the court demonstrating moves and providing immediate feedback. This level of engagement is uncommon from head coaches, especially when it comes to individual workouts. She could work out with any coach she wants, but the Indiana Fever coaches assure you that she would not be choosing to work out if Chrissy. Most head coaches might drop by for a few minutes to give general advice, but Stephanie White is completely invested in Caitlyn Clark's development, guiding her through each repetition like a master craftsman shaping their protege. White's coaching style is about unlocking potential and pushing players beyond their limits, and with Clark's talent and drive, the results could be extraordinary, and Sid was still there, demonstrating the level of coach she is. Naturally, it's just her and a few assistant coaches. I'm shocked that there aren't more players, almost like they're working out with individual players. Clark is already a powerful force, but with White honing her skills, she could become unstoppable. It's not just about learning new moves, it's about improving every part of her game, making her more effective, unpredictable, and deadly on the court. What's even more amazing is that this is only the beginning. We're getting a glimpse of the unrelenting grind that builds. Legends Clark has that Kobe Bryant mentality, and week after week she adds new skills to her arsenal. It's easy to watch her dominate on game day and assume that she just has natural talent. But the real story is that she seems to have something new in her game every single game. Do you guys remember the game where she just started spamming the back-of-the-back dribbles? Was it Dallas before the Olympic break, where she was like with Kin last year? I'm not kidding, but if you watch game by game, it was like in 2K when you just equip new. The problem is that the workout itself is only one piece of the puzzle. There is a lot more to this story, including the physical changes, fan reactions, and implications for the upcoming season. Trust me, you will want to hear about it all. Clark's skills are obviously evolving, and so is her fan base. Remember when some people thought her fan base would suffer after that Time magazine interview? Well, they couldn't have been more wrong. Her reputation was unbent. Instead, as you can see here, she's amassing millions of impressions, demonstrating the strength of her relationship with her supporters. 60,000 impressions in 20 minutes, 7 million retweets, and that's crazy engagement. The problem is that there are a lot of viral tweets about this, and on top of that, Robin Lundberg has almost 300,000 impressions on his tweet. This wasn't just any old practice clip, though it went viral in a way that no one could have predicted. The video received 2,000 retweets on Twitter. You may be asking, well, but how does that compare to other WNBA content? I can assure you that it isn't even close. This kind of engagement is extremely important for women's basketball, but it isn't even close to receiving a 1. There's a significant difference between that and the 7 million views on YouTube, but this is merely a training video. It's literally just a practice video. We're talking about practice, not the game that she dies for. Insert backup camera. We're discussing practice and the comments are going crazy. Fans are saying things like, the league isn't ready for what comes next. Another comment that really stood out was, I bet to crack 1 million views, and we're trying to convince us that Caitlyn Clark's fines are gone. It's obvious that people aren't just watching, they're invested in Clark's journey. This is where it gets really interesting. All of those predictions about Clark losing fans couldn't have been more inaccurate. I'm about to reach 1 million views, and we're trying to convince us that Caitlyn Clark's fans are gone. The main reason I'm making this video is because people were actually trying to say that Kay and Clark's fans are gone. Yes, the Jason Whitlocks of the world are gone. However, they were saying that they're never watching it for sports. This video demonstrates that Clark's true fans, the ones who truly care about basketball, are sticking with her. They're not interested in social media drama. People who weren't interested in sports may actually be gone, but the bottom line is that Clark isn't just retaining her fan base, she's growing it by staying focused on what really matters, her game. This workout video with its amazing engagement is a perfect example of what WNBA content can accomplish, regardless of your opinion. Her dedication to the game speaks for itself, just like it does for LeBron, even if they've turned on Caitlyn. They're just looking for a new target. They were attempting to BR big up Caitlyn, even though it had nothing to do with basketball. Now that they have changed their target to Caitlyn, they will attack her in the same way that they have attacked LeBron for years, so it doesn't matter what LeBron does. Now let's talk about Angel Reese for a moment. You might be wondering, wait, isn't this about Caitlyn Clark? But when Clark is out there working on her weaknesses, Reese is adopting a different strategy. Did you catch Reese's recent workouts? Reese isn't pushing herself as much as Clark, but rather sticking to what she already knows. It's like watching two different strategies play out in front of us, but it's like work on your weaknesses, and work on the important weaknesses. In stark contrast to Clark's laser-focused training session, Reese isn't concentrating on those crucial layups, which are the foundation of any player's game, and she's not delving into her weak points. She doesn't have the worst hook shot with her left hand because she has a great touch on scoops, so I would try to teach her layups instead of shooting the ball from here with two hands, especially off her right hand. This would essentially teach her a hook shot instead of releasing the ball from here, which would double her field goal percentage and add 10 points to it. Can you imagine if Reese's coach took a cue from White's book?